that you're hot.
Right now?
Yes, yes,
okay.
we're hot.
Well,
Yeah.
hi, everybody. This is a good way to start an interview.
We are here at New York Comic Con still with Frank Tieri. How are you doing, sir?
Good. How you guys doing? All right?
Awesome.
Yeah, doing all right. So your newest book here, Godzilla. There be gods here.
Here there be dragons.
Here there be dragons.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
What? Godzilla's got such a long history, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do to make it fresh?
Well, he's fighting pirates in this, so I mean, I think that's a little different, right?
Yeah.
You don't see him usually, engaging with pirates. They originally wanted me to do when IDW approached me to do Godzilla, they wanted to do a historical take on it.
Right.
And I said to myself, what would be a fun story to do, and something that would be different, but also that would make some kind of sense, and it would be,
Right.
pirates. Pirates, they would put on maps at the end of,
Oh yeah, there be right.
here there be dragons.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
So what would a kaiju be to a pirate? Would be a dragon.
Right.
You know what I mean? A kaiju like Godzilla.
A
let's
very
say.
pissed off dragon.
A very pissed off dragon. Exactly.
So is writing something you always wanted to do?
Yeah. I worked. I was on staff at Marvel, and
right.
then I started working for Marvel.com. I was actually doing artwork because I actually went to art school, believe it or not.
Okay.
But I'm such a good artist. I'm a writer now. So you know what I mean. That's how it works sometimes,
Nice.
right? So I was doing artwork, and they needed someone who knew the characters for writing.
Right.
I started writing, and it just took off. I had was all while pitching stuff to Marvel, and the first thing I got was I got to co-write Iron Man with Joe Quesada. Joe Quesada
Yes.
asked me to co-write Iron Man with him. I got that gig. Immediately, I got Wolverine, and then everything took off.
Yeah. I like the Wolverine stuff. Very good.
Thank you. I agree. I agree. It's quite good. Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, when you work for one of the big guys like Marvel, and then now you're doing stuff with IDW, is there anything have you ever wanted to go out and do your own book? And is there anything you have?
I've done Mother F. Goose with Aftershock. That was a creator-owned book.
Oh, okay.
I'm doing a creator-owned book shortly, which hasn't been announced yet.
Okay.
So I have stuff in the works. Let's put it that way.
Which side do you prefer more, the art or the writing?
Well, I'm not an artist anymore. I just just write. You know what I mean? When I was the type of artist, I could look at something and draw it. You know what I mean? But as a comic book artist, you can't do that. You know what I mean? You got to be. You can not suck like I sucked. So and that's why I'm a writer now. So there you go.
Well, okay. So why did you? So the Godzilla thing. Why did you Did you pick that, or did somebody ask you to write that? Or
they asked me to write Godzilla, and again, they wanted a historical pitch on it. They wanted Godzilla in another era, and I thought Godzilla and pirates would be fun. Now because there's obviously in a straight up fight they're not winning there. You know what I mean? But it's fun to navigate. How to tell the story around it.
This is a one shot, right? Are you going to do more?
No, there's 5 issues.
Oh, it's 5 issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
5 issues, and there was talk of more. Yes.
Did you
just leave it at that?
Did you know anything about Godzilla or the history?
Of course. I grew up on here in New York, we used to have the afternoon movies on Channel 7.
Oh. I remember those.
There was $1 million movies and all that stuff. Yeah. And it was, it would be Godzilla week, and it's Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster, and I loved all that stuff,
Yeah, Hedorah and all that.
All that stuff. Yeah.
All right. So then, what's your favorite Godzilla movie?
My favorite Godzilla movie, probably in a weird way, I guess Godzilla vs. Kong.
Okay.
The first one or the second one?
I like the second one. I like the second one. But I don't know. I just like the Godzilla vs. Smog Monster 2. I have a soft because that's
that was a weird one too.
That's the first one I've ever seen. I have a source. So I do have a soft spot in my heart for that one. But I like them all. I'm a big Godzilla guy. You know what I mean?
I know my father brought me up on those.
Okay.
So yeah,
So I'm not as old as your father. I don't know what you're insinuating here, but
Well, no.
your father. Okay, well, I'm also not your father.
but like Godzilla versus Megalon.
All that
with
stuff.
Jaguar and all that.
Yeah, all that stuff. All the big monster stuff was always fun as a kid. And we try to bring that in the series. We have a lot of. We have Abira is the big bad there, the giant lobster monster. But we also we have the giant octopus shows up in the latest issue, and we have there's all cameos. We have King Caesar and
King Caesar's a good one.
Yeah, we have all sorts of like little Easter egg stuff that we put Mothra, Rodan. We have all these little Easter egg stuff that we included in the story.
With Rodan, he has to immediately lose because that's Rodan.
Well,
it's like,
I mean, why Godzilla could beat up Rodan?
oh yeah, I know. But it's just Rodan is just well known for being a wuss. Like But so when you're writing, like not just this, but in your other writing, like how do you like when you come at a script or something you need to write? What do you think about when you're trying to figure out what the what the antagonist is going to be or what the problem is going to be? How do you go about writing the story itself?
Well, it depends. I mean, the story. I think a lot of stories make the big mistake that they don't have a strong antagonist.
Yeah.
The antagonist is the thing that the hero has to overcome.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they make a mistake where the antagonist has to be it's maybe even more important than the hero because you have to have somebody that the audience is interested in, that you know what I mean, that they I like to make my villains I tend to be a villain writer. I do a lot of villain stuff. I tend to make my villains try to make them human, you know what I mean? That's something you can relate to, whereas like, well, I've always felt the strongest villains are like Magneto, you know what I mean, where it's just okay, maybe you could see his point of view.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not he's not just ha ha ha. And then there's villains like Sabretooth who just kill to kill.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's different villains that you put the hero up against, and it plays into your story.
Do you think that like if you go about it that way though, do you think that's the reason that sometimes the villains are better or overshadow the protagonist? Is because you need a good villain?
Yeah, the villains tend to be more interesting, let's be honest.
Yeah.
They tend to be more fun. I know I have more fun writing the villains often, because that's just the way it is. It's,
Well, along the lines of antagonists or something to overcome, we actually signed the podcast off by saying, don't let your cape get caught in the door.
Okay.
Which started off as a joke, but it's actually morphed to mean don't let your shortcomings keep you from achieving your goals.
Uh-huh.
What's something you've overcome in your life to achieve a goal?
What have I overcome in my life?
Yeah.
My accent. With an accent like this, they think, I'm a blockhead, but, so,
I grew up near New York, so,
Exactly.
partially
but they tend to think, oh, well, they think lesser than you, and, you have to prove them wrong, and this is my accent, so what I've always been, and
Right.
Too bad, fellas, That's it. Deal with it.
All right.
But what's your favorite antagonist if we're talking about
favorite bad guys? Period. Like the classic ones: Darth Vader, Hannibal Lecter, the Joker, Dr. Doom. You know what I mean? Those are all like the pantheon of great. The Mount Rushmore of great villains.
Did you ever write one that got away from you? Like,
what do you mean?
Like you said you liked writing antagonists, or you got to do that a lot. So did you ever have an antagonist where it's like, oh, I just wrote him doing that. That's too far. Got to pull him back a bit.
Well, from the company will tell you, dude, that's too far.
Yeah.
Especially you work for Marvel, DC, and it's like, oh no, we can't have him do that. You know what I mean? That's that happens often because then that's what you deal with when you're playing with other people's toys. You play with them, but at the end of the day, you have to put them back in the box, and they make the decisions a lot of times. So.
Right. Is there ever a worry of writing something that the hero can overcome? And I mean, you have to come up with a clever way to get out of it. But are you afraid that the audience is going to be like, oh, that doesn't make sense?
You try not to do that.
Yeah.
You try not to write
Yeah.
stories that don't make sense. I like to think all my stories make sense. Yeah. I'd like to think that anyway.
What's your favorite one?
What story that?
Yeah.
I mean, people ask you that all the time. It's
I
like
know.
Picking your favorite child, right?
It's different. You know what I mean? I like I said, I tend to gravitate towards villains and tough guy characters like Wolverine, Punisher. I mean, Batman. I've written a lot of. You know what I mean? I love writing Batman's Rogues Gallery. He has the best Rogues Gallery in comics.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've had a ball writing Godzilla. You know what I mean?
Oh well, yeah.
You know, I'm doing. I always announced doing some Conan, Savage Sword of Conan. I always love Conan. I got to do some Star Wars. I got to do a Darth Vader story. So I mean, I've been lucky. I've gotten to do check off a lot of boxes as far as things I wanted to do, and a lot of different areas of entertainment from my childhood.
Is there anything left on your bucket list?
Oh, it's plenty. I'm sure there's, chances are, I haven't even thought of what, people, you make, like Godzilla. Godzilla came out of nowhere, you know what I mean? You don't know what the next thing is going to be. You don't know what the next opportunity is going to be. So you keep your mind open and,
All right, so the most important question, I think, we like to ask people, where can people find you online? Where's the best place to find some of your work?
I mean, you go to the Twitter, X, whatever the hell they call it now.
We've had a lot of people have been saying that today.
I'm on whatever it is. I'm on that. I'm on the Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but I haven't posted yet. I mean, so I guess you can find me in those places.
All right, cool. And then the question we usually like to wrap up on is, how do you measure success?
How do I measure success? I mean, a lot of times you write stuff for yourself, but you want people to like your stuff. You know what I mean? So I've been in this business from, I think my first published work was in 2001. So I've had a pretty good run of it. You know what I mean? And I'm still getting work, and I'm still, a commodity, and still, you know what I mean? And so I think I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? I think that's okay.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, sir.